get started with the Commissioners' meeting for March 20th. And the first item on the agenda is public input. Yes, Mr. Daymond?
At the delegation meeting, Ed brought up an interesting point about how investigations can be conducted by state law regarding the delegation creating a subcommittee to look at. Do you think we can follow that process in the future as opposed to hiring lawyers and trying to do things that way?
Well, I think it goes beyond us. What should happen is that the Commissioners would control the investigations, and if they wanted to go further, then the delegation could form that committee. That's been known for years. The only one that I'm aware of, and it wasn't by that law, it was by the law where the chairman, vice chairman, and clerk would review the appeal. If the Commissioners said that whatever the issue was unfounded, or that the person was guilty, then they could appeal it, and they could appeal it to the executive board of the delegation. There's only once it's happened, and it happened with the farm help. It was a problem between the farm and the jail. The farm was run by the superintendent of the jail at that time. Yep.
Just to follow up, I don't have the law in front of me, but I didn't see anything about investigation starting with the commissioners.
No, it ends at the Commissioners.
It ends with the commissioners. But what I'm saying is, the law doesn't say start with commissioners and
No.
then go to the delegation.
No, it doesn't.
The delegation is responsible for looking into investigations.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why it even starts with the commissioners, especially when
It's supposed to start at the lowest level, okay? If it can be handled by a department head, then it's handled there. If they can't do it, then it comes to the Commissioners. In many cases, the Commissioners have the final say. Not to say that they couldn't appeal it to the delegation. Okay? I mean, as far as I know, they've never used that system since I've been here anyway. Any further comment by the public? Yes.
I have a few questions. Did you fill Lori's position downstairs yet?
I'm sorry.
Did you fill Lori's position?
Yes, we did.
You did, okay.
Yep.
And when is the report for the county going to be ready?
It should be at the printers, I believe, right now.
It's been at the printers
Printers for a while,
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
so no
All I
date?
know is at the
We voted on
printers.
it 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Okay. And was a decision made on the wood processor and what you were going to do with that?
They voted it out in the budget.
Yeah.
And they're gonna bring it up as a supplementary if they feel like it's necessary.
Right now, they're not really, well, some of them are not in support of it at all. They wanted a final report or a analysis of the wood processor and the wood operation. We gave that to them on Monday.
So they're going to have a special meeting on it, or how's that going to work?
I have no idea.
Well, they mentioned they'd look at it again in their May meeting.
Look at it again at
wasn't
the
it?
May meeting, right. But the only way they could approve it is if we have a supplemental budget, because our budget is already in, and supposedly they're supposed to be signing it this week. So the only way that we could use it or to purchase it would be for supplemental budget, which has to be done before the 1st of September. That has to go out to all selectmen, a hearing has to be held, the reason why we have a supplemental budget. There's a whole process that you have to go through.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that. Okay. And I have one more thing, if I could just, if you allow me.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know, and I'm going to be posting these. The Friends of Mountain View
Yep.
are going to be holding a Just Desserts benefit as a fundraiser for the residents of Mountain View. It's going to be on Saturday, April 6th, just 2 to 4. We've got a slew of people baking for it. It's going to be an all-you-can-eat for $10 and it's going to be at Mountain View. You can get tickets ahead of time. You can get tickets at the door. There's different prices on the tickets. It'll be Information will be on the website. We're going to be putting posters up all over the place, but I really hope that you will come and support this.
$10, you say?
$10 for adults, and then it's going to be...
And what's the date, Maureen?
April 6th.
April 6th,
April
from 2 to
6th.
4 in the afternoon. If you have children under 10, it's 4, and under 2 is free. And then there'll also be a silent auction at this event too, so you can eat dessert and shop at the same time. But it's a brand-new fundraiser. We're going to try it out, and if it works really well, we'll probably do it every year.
Lots of ice cream and chocolate sauce?
We're not going to do chocolate sauce, but there's a lot of people that bake really fantastic things. Cheesecakes, really fancy cakes.
Can you define the dessert without chocolate sauce?
Yeah, I know, it's really hard. I wanted to do just a chocolate event, but I got voted down on that. So anyway, I really hope that you'll support this.
No discount if you don't have chocolate sauce? You want chocolate sauce?
I don't know, Mr. Babson, or Commissioner Babson. We'll have to see. You've had so many titles.
I think it's a great idea.
Thank
And
you.
that's April 6th from 2 to 4?
Yes, and I will be posting these everywhere.
You want to turn it around so Ed can see it?
I did actually give it to Ed. He's going to put it on
Oh,
Facebook
okay, great,
for me.
thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else, public input?
Excellent, thank you.
Seeing none, we'll go into regular meeting, and the first item would be minutes. Do we have minutes from last week?
Yeah, I read them, but I didn't bring them upstairs with me.
Okay,
Do you have a set of minutes there?
I've read them, and the only one I have is, instead of BEAS, it should be D.
No, it's D.
It's B?
It's Bureau.
No, we had that discussion last
Oh,
week.
you had that last
I
week?
said it with the
It's Bureau of
department, and they
Elderly?
said, no, they changed the name
They
to the
changed it.
Bureau of Adult.
Bureau of Elderly or something?
Yeah,
No, this is
they
correct.
changed it to
So
B.
Well, then on our budget, it's wrong.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Should be changed.
okay.
Okay, so.
I didn't believe it
With
either.
page one.
There wouldn't be any correction then if it's a B, if that's correct, BEAS.
I'll move that we accept the minutes of March 13th.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
And so voted. Any other reports to be given at this time?
Sure. We need the mobile.
Sheriff, you're doing that.
Stop playing with the light, Sheriff.
Those who are at the county delegation meeting, the budget has passed. I think to be raised by taxes was about 3.4, 3.5%. The operating budget would be considerably less. It was at 2% before, and they put in an extra $400,000 to reduce taxes. So, with the exception of the wood processor, I think the budget looks pretty good. And the next meeting would be sometime in May. They'll go over the quarterly report. They're looking at this performance audit, which they claim one of the outfits, one of the organizations that did Grafton County is all booked up until, I guess, late into the summer. And that's the only one that they have checked on so far. Anything else that either one of you want to say about? Go ahead.
Just on the budget, I think Representative McConkey in his discussion on the budget said that the subcommittees didn't have the appetite to cut the budget, I think was his quote.
Yeah.
I attended many of the subcommittee meetings, and I think that the subcommittees did an excellent job, and they raised the money that they thought was needed to run this place rather than to just cut everything. And that was his remark, and he has a right to say it, but I wouldn't have described the way the subcommittees worked in that manner. I think they did a great job, and they cut where they had to or thought they could, and they spent money where they thought they had to.
And if I could add to that, I think the commissioners reduced the budget somewhat prior to what they got. So I think the subcommittees did an excellent job as well. in particular, the nursing home subcommittee by Representative Algren.
Did an excellent job.
That he did an excellent job, and he did what a subcommittee chairman should, and that is made the motions to pass it through department by department. It was amazing that because they wanted to get out by 12 o'clock, it went through fairly quickly. And it didn't, they didn't complete it. They had to have it on Monday. Anyway. Okay. Anything else to report?
Reports.
Any reports?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I attended the first meeting of the subcommittee that was put together by the chairman of the delegation to study some kind of a discount for the sheriff and discount for the towns, Moulton Borough, Conway, and Tufton Borough. I'm sorry, it wasn't by the sheriff. He's not on that side. And it was a very, very well-run meeting. I think what came out of it is, first of all,
This is regarding the dispatch, right?
dispatch center, giving them a reduction in there, or a discount, or whatever you want to call it. And I think it became pretty obvious pretty quickly that one of the things that needed to be done is everybody had to compare apples and apples and not apples and pears. The gentleman from Moulton Borough had done a lot of research, but when it came down to matching up the different calls and protocol, they weren't the same. So the first step is, as I recall, right, Sheriff, they were going to try to get on the same, work up a worksheet so everybody's answering the same questions. I think the testimony was, one of them had, Moulton Borough had 75,000 calls, is that what he said?
Wow.
Yes, that's possible.
I know Wolfboro had told me 55, and the other one was 35. And so there's a lot of calls, a lot of discussion, and I think they all agree that some base level of service should be paid for by all the towns. But the first step is to gather the information and see exactly how many calls are coming where and when and who's using what.
Okay. I talked to Kathy Geary. She seems to think that all the other towns would pay a little extra rather than giving those three towns a discount or whatever you want to call it. So I don't know, that would still have to be worked out, I guess. Okay, anything else to report this morning? Anything else to add to the agenda? Okay, Robin?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I have two things now. Superintendent Johnson contacted me last night and asked me to provide this to you. Apparently, with the demise of Mr. Richard Moulton, the federal suit that is ongoing may go into a different status. And that is a notification of death, apparently, to the court, and it triggers a 90-day window by which the estate or relatives of Mr. Moulton decide whether they want to be the substitute plaintiff. So there's a 90-day window that is now triggered as a result of that. So
And this was dated
I think it was filed in the court. You see it on the top
March
there.
15th.
Right.
Yep.
So the family and estate has 90 days from that date in which to decide whether there's going to be a substitute plaintiff or not.
Yeah, and this is regards to,
That lawsuit.
yep.
What does the lawsuit pertain to?
I wasn't involved in it at all. It's in federal court, and I don't know.
And I wasn't either.
It was-
Well, we weren't around, but
It was in regards to, part of it at least was in regards to having all his teeth fixed. And we agreed to pay a certain amount for certain teeth. But he complained all his teeth rotted as a result of him being in our jail for a 6-month period or something like that. So,
okay. So that's, anyway, Superintendent Johnson asked me to forward that on to you. So
Okay.
the other thing is, what I wanted to talk to you about is there's an IT situation. I've asked John Rich to give me some idea of how much it would cost to put in internet over at the Superior Court building. He said it could be one of two things, and he hasn't looked at the system, and I've got to call into the state IT guy down at the administrative office of the court. They have something there now, and if we could piggyback onto it, it would cost probably $200 or $300. If we would have to put in our own internet, there would be a monthly fee of probably around $75, and then in addition to the $200 or $300 installation that he would have to do. But not knowing what's over there, he couldn't really say. And the reason I'm asking him to do this is that, the whole J1 system that's coming into the state, it's coming down to the small claims court system this June, according to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Linda Delanis. And they're eventually hoping to tie everybody electronically, law enforcement, the courts, prosecutors' offices, so that will be like the federal system, so that we can file things electronically, and we'll be able to get orders and everything electronic. We're getting a lot of stuff now from the court through our email. We're getting orders and stuff rather than getting the printed copy. And in the long run, it's going to save us storage, if nothing else. I mean, our vault is already, it's full. And we've got file cabinets in the aisles now, so we've got to do something. My hope, or the long-range plan that I'm envisioning for my office, is to have our database be on laptops so that we can take the laptop to the court and do everything through the internet there. We won't have to carry. I mean, Susan goes through one of those plastic carts like once a week for the volume of files we bring over and have to do. So in speaking with Judge Horan, who is absolutely on board with this, thinks it's a wonderful idea, says the state won't pay for it. Rockingham County has paid for it. I've talked with the county attorney, Jim Reams, down there. He said they just went in and did it. They didn't even ask anybody, but that was a while ago. So, we would need to, like I said, I've got a call into the guy. What else can I tell you?
This is different than the system that Dewhurst was talking about in communicating with other counties.
Right. We are now have what they call a Carpel. It's a data management system, and that will tie into it too. That'll be able to be used through it. We're hoping. We don't want to do anything that's not going to tie in, but we need the internet access first of all. I had just purchased one of those tablets, hoping that I could. It was the Microsoft Surface tablet, hoping that it could utilize that function, but it can't, so I'm bringing it back. But something small like that. But John said to me, John Rich was saying, it's a tablet, it's not a computer, you can't use it for that. So eventually that would be the ideal way to go. I mean, what Jim Reams has been to other states and looked at, he says it's just great. The attorneys come in with their laptops, final pretrials, whatever conferences you have, and the information goes right in, it gets right in the system, and you're done. There's not a lot of paper shuffling. You don't have to worry about getting notices back from the court. It's done right then and there. So the ideal situation would be to have this internet access, but to have it with 4 different channels, essentially. One would be for prosecutors, one would be for the defense bar, and they're all secure so that you can't access each other's information. One would be for the court, for the judge, and I thought the private bar. I've reached out to Charles Greenhalgh, who's the president of the Carroll County Bar Association, and the Bar Association has not been active in Carroll County in a while. He said that he would anticipate that the attorneys would be delighted to have that ability. He says you go to court, and it's a lot of dead time. You just sit around, whereas you could get a lot of work done if you had that sort of capability. So it sounds like there'd be a lot of bang for not so much of a buck, for the system.
All your attorneys have laptops?
They do. Some of us are more skilled than others in the use of them, in the internet and with our database, but as the newer attorneys are coming on, they're very savvy.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Babson, you have?
Yeah, I have several questions, not being a IT geek.
You got an iPad.
They don't, well, all I know how to do is push the buttons. They don't have any internet connection over there?
They do. They have something now. It's not up, and they're hoping to, when I spoke with Pat Lenz about it, she said it's in the future. It's years down the road before we can be able to. It's not for the public. No one can access it, especially. It's for the court.
Well, I would think the first step is that's the same answer that we got here.
Well, and that's,
And the first question would be, can they split off of it and make a public link?
Well-
Frankly, I don't see why the county should have to foot the bill. It's, at the very least, it should be 50-50 because both the county and the state are gonna benefit from it.
well, my thought was, I mean, first we gotta figure out what's over there. And that may be an option that we can split off of that, but that's why John Rich has gotta talk to Peter Croto, who's the IT guru down at the Office of Administrative of the Court, the Administrative Office of the Court. So that's gotta happen first. My other thought was that, the public defenders ought to be able to kick in a share, and maybe the private bar can kick in.
I was gonna say, how about the private bar? How about anybody that's using it?
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, you can't, and what Charles had said to me was that we would love it, she says, but I don't know how you can get people to, pay for it. Maybe there could be a subscription fee. I don't want to get into the business of having to monitor that, though.
No, you don't wanna be sending out a monthly
Right,
bill. And,
right. Right.
if they're gonna use it,
Right.
at
The
least
benefit
they
would-
ought to be, if we have to pay for it on a monthly basis,
Yeah.
they ought to be, we shouldn't have any additional cost to it, or
Well,
maybe a very little bit,
yeah.
because you're gonna use it.
Well, right, I mean, it would be a huge benefit to this office. We could, and I'm not talking, I mean, the big benefit's gonna be a couple of years down the road as we all, get into it.
But if they've got a wire coming in over there, perhaps Ed, he's far more knowledgeable than I am, or any of us probably. If they've got a wire coming in there, I don't understand why they can't split it off and
Well, we'll
and
find
set
out.
up their own guests like we have here.
So Rich is looking into it.
I've got the call into the state guy,
Oh, okay,
so that if we can have access to see what there is.
okay. Yes, Ed?
It's not as simple as having a public access here
Right.
because you have to secure it. So the IT guy's gonna have to set up a firewall, a whole different thing, and it has to be maintained, and you don't want that public. This was simple. This is just splitting off the main line and putting a separate router on, but this requires more.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
So I'll keep you posted. I don't know how it'll play out, but
Well, I think it's a benefit to your department,
It certainly is. And
as
it-
well as the state.
And it's coming. I mean, it's coming.
If it's a couple $100, I think it's
Let's
well
hope
worth
it'd be a
it.
one-time deal and we can split off of theirs and make it secure. That'd be ideal.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
okay,
Okay, anything else?
You'll be back with that information?
I'll be back.
Why don't you bring Mr. Rich in with you when you come, and then
Sure,
if we
I mean,
have any
I'll,
questions.
yeah. Well, the next step will be getting there, and I just wanted to, I'm asking if it's okay
Yep,
that I ask John to go over and,
Okay.
take a look.
sure.
Yeah, I know the sheriff's office tried to do similar, get the system over there, but the state is reluctant to let anyone in on their line because they're worried about hacking and all that, so that'll be the trick, is to
Yep.
let the state have us get access, whether it be set up with a firewall or not, but I think once you get them to approve it, there'll be no problem getting it.
Okay,
Good,
thank you.
good, thank you.
Will?
I do. Morning.
Good morning. Stay up late last night, or you didn't get to bed last night?
Late last night, definitely early morning. We've been here since about 3, so. Oops, that's not yours, sorry. Just have a couple quick things. Obviously, this week has been busy with snow. Snow prep, we had down the list here, I mentioned that we had our new employee start on Monday, so we had a bit of a orientation with him, also snow prep. going on that day. Last week, we processed some wood out in the lot with the wood processor to bring in to have it bagged. And we've been having a crew, we didn't yesterday or today so far, maybe this afternoon if it warms up, but been trying to have a crew out there every day, at least a half a day, continuing bagging.
Yeah.
We're at probably about 3,600 bags, which is a bit further behind than I'd like to be. I'd like to be further ahead, but the snow keeps coming, so it doesn't seem to matter like spring's going to be here or not.
Try if you can, try to keep time as to the number of hours you use the wood processor. Not the bagging of the wood, but how many hours do you use the wood processor? That seems to be a hang-up. Some people say, well, it's 5 days or 8 days, and it's not straight 8 days. It's whenever we're not plowing snow, you go
Right.
out and use the equipment. So I think people think that, in the month of September, that's all you do for 8 straight days is do the wood. Well, I don't believe that's necessarily true.
No, it's not.
It's whenever you can get time to do it. And it adds revenue to the farm as a result of what you're doing. So if you could keep some track of time, maybe over a period of several months, you might be using it periodically over those several months.
Right.
I don't know how you're doing it, but I don't think it's deals with just 1 month, and it doesn't deal with one solid week.
Right.
Right?
No, it doesn't. I mean, like I said, we did last week. I tried to use up what I had cut up in 4 foot out there for the most part because we knew the storm was coming with all the snow, so we got it processed up and put in the barn so that way it's nice and dry to be bagging. When that runs out, obviously I'll have to be out there getting more. And that's kind of what the process goes. You don't use it every day. I might go out there, like last week I spent Thursday morning and Friday morning processing, which would probably be enough wood to keep me busy for a week. But then I might not use it again, for the till the next week for a couple half days or whatever.
Right.
So.
Okay. Now, you got a lot of wood log length
Yes,
all out there.
Yep, we got quite a bit log length. Combination between the primarily the processor being broke down last year for so long in the fall, we didn't get as much processed in the fall like we like to have, so that's why I'm having to process it now for the camp wood.
Yeah.
That was the main reason. The other reason we were working on the pole barn, but I had the personnel to be doing the wood, it's just the processor was broke down, so
Right.
when they weren't doing that, they were helping on the pole barn. But
Okay.
that's the main reason why we're having to process so much this spring, because of so much downtime last year.
Okay.
And the only other 2 things I had on the list there is we're getting a new radiator. I sent the radiator out and he looked at it, it was in really rough shape. He said he could repair it, but he said a new one, he could get a replacement one for basically the same price as it would be to repair it. So I said, just go ahead and get me the new one. We've been fighting with that radiator for the last 2.5 years or so, especially not so much in the fall time when we use the tractor for processing, but a lot more in the summertime when we're haying. It gets real hot. Been having problems, so we're getting a new radiator for that. And then the other thing is I'm working on putting together the seed orders. I talked with Rob over at the dietary on some different vegetables that he might like this year. So I'm working on it. I just got the seed book in this last week, so
Yeah.
trying
The
to put that
Harris?
together.
Is it
Yes,
Harris?
Yep. I'd like to start our own tomatoes and peppers this year.
That worked out pretty good last year.
Yeah, we started all our own tomatoes last year. We didn't buy any. We bought some peppers in, but this year, every year I've been trying to buy a few more things with the money that we have at the end of the year and that line item for equipment to do it. And I think now we have enough equipment that we're going to try to start all our own instead of having to buy them.
Seeds are not inexpensive any longer either, are they?
Not compared to what they used to be.
No.
Still better than buying the plants, I guess. It also gives I also use it as a good learning tool, teaching opportunity with the inmates. I usually get a couple that are going to be here for the whole longevity of it, and they seem to take a lot of interest in that. And
Good.
I take the time to teach them and how to do it and whatnot.
Okay. The new employee that you hired, are they trained to supervise inmates?
I hope so. He's been a certified CO over at the jail for the last 3 years, so
Okay.
he's been working out really well. He's real familiar with all the rules and regulations regarding the inmates. The basic things that he's learning is more of the farm job versus the inmate portion, which is a lot easier to teach an individual.
CO, which jail?
Our jail.
Oh.
He transferred from our jail out to the
To the
farm.
farm?
Mhm.
Okay.
You have some questions, Mr.
Yes.
Babson? Go ahead.
First, Will, are you going to increase the size of the garden?
Yes.
Is it going to be out where you had the pigs in the little house, or are you?
Yes. We're going to have the garden we've been having the last few years, and then talking with Rob, we're going to try to fill that whole area where the pigs were last year with winter squash to give them a lot. We did a trial run last year. It seemed to work out pretty well with them, and so I want to expand on the amount of winter squash because it will hold over for them to be able to use.
How about potatoes?
Potatoes I haven't looked at because of the amount of work, the way we put the plastic in, the amount of work involved, plus potatoes are something that he can buy very cheap.
Inexpensively.
It's inexpensive, and it's hard for me to justify all the labor to the inexpensive that he can buy them.
And the plants you're starting, do you have any program going where there's a few plant boxes at the nursing home?
We haven't yet. They have a couple boxes over there that's for the residents. Couple things that we've been.
Excuse me, Will, when you say a couple, are they just 2x2 or
The
are
raised
they
boxes.
4x8 or something that they can really see? And
I want to say their raised beds are right outside the dining room area window there. They're probably I'm guessing about 3 feet wide and about 10, 12 feet long. There's 2 of them, or 3 of them, I think, out there, and they're probably about as tall as these tables, so the wheelchair people can come
so
up
there's
to
some size to them?
Yes,
Oh,
yep.
Good, good.
They used them last year, right?
Yep, the residents
Yeah,
did, yep. What we're working on with the farm day is to try to build some more on the complex that we can reuse and start the stuff on Memorial Day type period, so that way by the time farm day comes, we already have something growing in there to do a class on. And the other thing that was talked about in the landscape in the committee in the kitchen is really talked about it is getting a box set up possibly outside the kitchen at some point to grow some fresh herbs out there so that they could go out and just pick the herbs. We could plant them, and then the chefs, as they need them, could go out and pick them.
Thank you.
Any idea, at least this year, try to keep track of the amount of food that you give away to the food pantries?
Okay. I usually have a running total on that.
Okay. Is that
Refresh my
considerably quite a bit of food, or?
It varies from year to year. To be honest, last year was very minimal because we had a rough garden year. The year before was a lot. I was going up there at least once a week, and at times we were taking 100+ pounds of produce up there.
This is the Ossipee Food Pantry?
Yes, that's the one we had been going to. Last year wasn't a lot just because we struggled with the garden.
And you're back at keeping time as to where your people are working?
Yes.
Which building?
Yeah, we started at the new year.
Okay. Go ahead.
Another question, and on the bagged wood, Will, do we make big lump sum deliveries? When you said you had 3,600 bags and you were behind, do you split that up, 400 bags apiece, or how's it work when it comes time to deliver it?
Yes. When I say behind is my goal is by around 1st of May time period is to have the whole 8,000 done because we move into spring cleanup in the summer things, and we don't have as much time to dedicate to the wood bagging. Ideally, if we have to, we have to. But ideally, to keep everything on schedule, I like to be done by then. So I feel like we're a little bit behind on that aspect. But we do have enough. We take out generally 550 per load as they go out to the farther campgrounds. The closer one gets about 600 because it's not as far. We can fit 600 on there. But the further ones is 550 a bunch. So generally, the first order that'll come in first part of May will be around with the 3 campgrounds will be around 1,700 bags. So that's usually the first chunk that goes out, and then it can be, they call us when they need them. So it could be a month to 3 weeks, depending. Usually the spring is more like a month, and then when you get past the 4th of July into end of August, it's about every 3 weeks we get a call to take them out.
So you're pretty sure that you're gonna get these orders?
We have, I mean, we're 3 years running now of, all the campground managers have my cell phone, and that's how they order. They call me directly and set up the orders, and they've been very happy the last 3 years, so I wouldn't see any reason why we wouldn't be getting them.
Thank you.
Anything further? You getting out enough inmates to do the shoveling
Yes, do the shoveling.
this past storm?
Mhm.
Okay.
We've got 3 out there that's been able to keep up with it for the most part, along with
Okay.
the snow blower that helps out a lot.
Okay. Any
I was-
further? Go ahead.
I was surprised to see Zach was running the snow blower. I didn't think the inmates were allowed to run anything mechanical.
Well, they're able to run the lawnmowers, and we
Yeah.
give proper training. We only pick certain ones to run the snow blower. So that inmate has been trained on it extensively and has done a lot of work with us on it. And I've been told that we can't. Like I said, they do the lawnmowers and the weed whackers.
I think it's the tractors and the larger equipment.
Tractors and the chainsaws of what I've been aware of.
Okay.
I have a question. You said he processed some wood last week. So if the farm is not getting a new wood processor, does that mean that you cannot process any wood anymore?
No, I can still use the processor we have right now until it breaks down.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully, we've had a lot of breakdowns and we've been fixing them. Hopefully, we don't have a breakdown that we can't fix, because it is at the end of its lifetime.
Okay.
But we're trying to do the best we can and still bring in the revenue, even though we haven't been able to get a new machine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, keep up the good work.
Okay.
Hopefully we won't get any more snow. This is the first day of spring. Should
I
be
hope
starting cleanup rather than plowing snow.
I agree. I'm ready to start cutting hay. Thank you. Have a good day.
You got all your fertilizer and stuff ordered?
Not yet,
Oh, yeah?
but we still got plenty of time, so
Yep.
that'll be something that is coming up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not sure Kathy Vizard is coming.
She's not due here for another 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know, but I think she's coming in with regards to some abatements in Hale's location, abatement on taxes. So,
What is our responsibility when it comes to that? I know the
we
selectmen in
approve
the
or
town,
disapprove?
the town approve or disapprove, and we're the selectmen for Hale's location. Does someone give us a recommendation? I mean, I wouldn't know one house from another up there.
Well, she would, as well as those that do the appraising would have an idea. I don't know what she's got or who is the one that's, but we always have some
Recommendation.
abatements. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, would you ask Janice to come in, please? Thank you, Sharon.
Is she here yet? Is she on-
Oh, I don't know if she's here. She had a problem on the way in.
Then we have Howie.
I got a letter here from Central New Hampshire VNA and Hospice. It says, "Dear member of the Carroll County Commissioners, the March 14th, 2013 edition of the Carroll County Independent included an article that provided inaccurate information about our agency's funding. Shortly after quoting Representative Chandler of Bartlett, New Hampshire, in saying, nonprofits that get funding from town meetings should not ask for funding from the county. The article stated that VNA Hospice of Southern Carroll County, as noted in the paragraph above, will receive $70,000 in county tax dollars this year and is also requesting funding from all area towns in which their service is offered. The information, as noted in the article, is not accurate. The VNA Hospice of Southern Carroll County is now part of Central New Hampshire VNA and Hospice and has been since October 2010. Neither Central New Hampshire VNA and Hospice nor its Wolfboro office, formerly known as VNA Hospice of Southern Carroll County, receives any funding from Carroll County. There is another independent VNA located in Conway which does receive considerable funding from Carroll County. That organization is called Visiting Nurse Home Health Care and Hospice of Carroll County. We are not connected with that organization. We are concerned about this error because it presented misinformation prior to voting in some towns and may have misled voters to believe that the VNA located in Wolfboro receives funding from both the towns it serves and the county. That is not true. Our agency only requests funding from the towns we serve based on the amount of service we provide. We do not receive nor do we request funding from Carroll County. We are attempting to contact elected officials and others for whom questions might be raised about this. We have also contacted the newspaper and others to inform them of the error. Please note that I am available to discuss our town funding with you, but I felt it was urgent that you understand an error has been made in the publication. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Margaret Fankhauser, Executive Director. I believe she was the one that stood up on Monday and said about the same thing to the delegation. So, all right. Nobody's here yet from HR.
Debbie is.
I'm actually going to fill in for Janice this morning, if that's
Okay.
all right. She had a
Okay.
bit of a mishap on the way into work this morning.
Okay.
Everything is fine, but she will be late.
Do you want to hold off until she gets here regarding the handbook, or you want to move forward?
Well,
Did
I gotta
Commissioner-
take a break. Mine's downstairs. I didn't think we were gonna do
Commissioner
that
Babson,
this
did you
morning.
get a chance? I thought you were going to get some information about the social policy. Did you get some chance to research that?
About what?
The social networking policy. I thought you had a question last week.
Oh, no,
You will
yes.
do some research. I
no,
did
I-
some phone calling about that issue, but I didn't hear anything back.
Okay.
If we can really put it in, or if it is okay. So I don't have that information today with me.
Do you have specific questions regarding the social media policy?
I was just thinking about the constitutional rights, and then, but I think I've
Yes.
come to the conclusion that what we had in there is fine.
This is in regards to social media networking policy, page 27.
But anyway, we can always, it is a reference, it's a guidance. We can in the future always make corrections.
Changes.
We can delete it, or we can make additions.
That's correct.
So even if we accept it now as it is, if we get other information or things are changes, we can still make all the changes.
Yep, that's correct.
Does any,
With regard to the constitutionality of it, I can assure you that it is constitutionally appropriate. The social media policy as it was written does not deny any constitutional rights or revoke any constitutional rights. It simply lays out a format for employees being aware of what the consequences might be if they were to violate someone else's rights.
okay.
Do you know if other counties are using this?
Other counties are using social
Do they
media
have that?
policies.
Because I read one employee handbook from a different county and didn't have it in. It was really basic what they had. It was not really.
Some of them are very basic, Commissioner
Everything
Kenney,
what
and
we
the
have
problem that most entities encounter when they're looking at social media and networking policies is actually not whether or not they can be considered constitutional, but whether or not they can be considered defensible. And that's the key, really, in any policy. With regard to this particular policy, the brunt of the policy was written by a gentleman who not only has extensive knowledge of the rights and the limitations surrounding social media, but he's also a practicing attorney in the state of New Hampshire. So he's very, very aware of the problems, and this policy was based off his policy, which he was kind enough to provide to us, and it is one of the policies that is considered actually defensible.
Okay. Anybody have any further comments regarding this guide? Anybody want
Shannon,
to?
if you're going to continue on this discussion to any great length, I have to admit that I left mine in my automobile.
Okay.
But if we're just going
You
to
want-
accept it, that was the only problem we had, as I recall.
Yeah, yeah.
That was fine with me.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the Carroll County Personal Reference Guide?
I'll make a motion that we accept the Carroll County Personal Reference Guide
And that we sign?
as established here on March 20th, 2013.
Okay. Here a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion on this?
I just want to, yes, I want to make sure that it is open for discussion if we come across something that isn't right
Yeah.
here. That, we may need to make adjustments. This is our
Mhm.
first attempt at it. I'm sure there's going to be some problems with it that we haven't seen, the unintended consequences. And I want to be assured that we will be in a position to adjust these if we have to.
You
Mhm.
absolutely are, Commissioner. Policies by their nature are very fluid documents, and they can be adjusted as needed.
Thank you.
There's a paragraph on that first page that says, "The provisions of this guidebook are not contractual, but are intended solely for your information and guidance and may be unilaterally changed by the county at any time. Every employee may be subject to any change, addition, or deletion made in the handbook, regardless of the employee's date of hire." And as it said, it's a guide, and it's something that all of us should be following. So, any further discussion on this manual? If not, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Okay, I assume
Did
that's
Commissioner
unanimous.
Kenney vote?
Yeah, I vote, yeah.
Okay.
I second it.
Okay. All those in support of the motion, we already did that.
All in
So
favor.
voted then. So I'll sign this copy anyway, yes?
Commissioners, I have a copy here.
You do?
The copies that you have in your
That's
hand
ours,
are
yeah?
intended for yourselves,
That's
but if you
ours.
wouldn't mind signing this one, each of the three of you,
David, you know
that
it's
copy
yours.
can be used
Huh?
going
That'll be
forward.
helpful, you know it's yours.
Yeah.
There is no date on it. Are you going to put a date on it?
We probably
This-
ought to put a
Oh, you
date
don't
on
have
this
to.
page when it was signed.
Absolutely, it can be put on as a footnote.
Now, how is this gonna get distributed?
We intend to distribute it electronically. We also intend to have physical copies available, and all new coming or incoming employees will be handed a copy that they can read and then will then be required to sign off on.
Okay.
Our intent is also going forward to have each of the employees currently working in the county to read it and sign off on it, so that we
Mhm.
have a copy of that acknowledgement in everyone's file.
Okay, sounds good.
And this is going on a website?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
How long do you think that process will take, Deb?
That's very difficult to say, sir. We're gonna have to look at our budget and find out how many copies we can actually physically make. A lot of our employees don't have access to the internet and won't be able to look at digital copies, so we will be required to spend some money making physical copies of those, and it's gonna depend on when we can arrange those meetings and when we can get people in to sign those acknowledgements.
So each, go ahead.
When you, I don't know whether you're planning to print them out yourself or whether you're planning to go to Staples or one of these other mass production places and get them printed, or?
We're looking at maybe getting some cost quotes from Staples, and maybe one or two others to see what that mass production would cost. It would certainly be a lot easier.
Maybe, I hope you will.
Yes, sir, we will.
It's 5 cents a
And
page.
so each department head would have a copy of this,
Yeah, each department will have a copy,
not electronically, but a physical.
an actual physical copy.
Okay.
Will you be notifying each one of the employees that they have to read it, or will it be left up to the directors of each department?
No, sir, we'll be sending out a mass notice. We'll be letting everyone know. And again, going forward with orientations, each new employee will be required to read it and sign the acknowledgement. And as we're able, we'll get everyone who's already employed to sign one of those acknowledgements also.
Well, pardon my ignorance, but if they don't have the internet to get a copy of it, how are you gonna notify them? Are you gonna?
The notification will go out electronically, but it will also be posted. All of the department heads will know, and that information will be filtered down.
Thank you, I just wanna make sure it gets out. And another question, Mr. Chairman?
Yep, go ahead.
I hate to think of it, but perhaps something will happen somewhere along the line, and we'll pull this process, procedure handbook out, and the person will say, I never read it, or I never saw it. And then you look in the file and you don't have a signed acknowledgement. What is the consequences if these people, or the employees, read it and don't sign it?
Well, hopefully that won't happen. The intent is to make the policies known to all employees so that when we do wind up with a personnel action of some sort, or when an employee does want to come to the commissioners, they know what to expect. Everybody knows up front because everything is written in a policy. Once we have those acknowledgements, then really the employee has no recourse. They've acknowledged that they've received policies, that they're aware of how things are supposed to work and what's expected of them. If for some reason or another an acknowledgement goes missing, then really we wind up in the same predicament that we would be if we had no book to begin with. And that is, the
Well, that's a
employee would always
situation I'm worried
be
about.
able to complain, be able to state that they weren't aware. And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Same thing is true for over at the jail. All the correctional officers are supposed to sign saying that they've read a thick manual. I would question whether they've read it or not, but they have to sign for it.
Okay.
So if they read it, how long do they have before they sign acknowledgements? Do they get some time to read it?
And they will be allotted a certain amount of time.
Oh, okay.
That time limit has not been determined yet.
Okay, my follow-up question is then, the employees, they just read it. If they don't understand it, because they can just read it and maybe they don't understand half of it, so they're coming to HR for explanation if they don't understand it?
Yes, ma'am, they can come to HR. As a matter of fact, the acknowledgement sheet itself states that they acknowledge not only having received a copy of the book or having been able to read a copy of the book, but also that they've been allotted ample opportunity
And then they understand it.
for asking questions. On number 2, I understand that I may ask questions concerning this reference guide and its contents, and I will receive an answer from my immediate supervisor, department head, or human resources.
Okay.
Anything else in HR? Anything else in HR?
Not offhand, no.
No? Okay. All right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Yeah.
Damon had a question, if you want to answer it.
Oh.
Looking for a copy.
Looking for a copy?
Copy of the reference guide.
When it gets printed, we'll see that you get a copy.
But it's going to be online too, when it's going to be available.
So we should be able to have it up online by the end of the week.
Okay, so you can get it maybe.
But Damon, you're perfectly welcome to go in with Debbie and read it if you like.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Kathy, you're next. I wasn't sure you were coming today, but you were right on time.
Falling down here isn't what it is up north. All right, I received an abatement application from a resident of Hale's location. Their tax bill got lost in the mail. So they received their tax bill, and then 2 days later, the notice of arrearage. So they chose not to pay the interest due, which was a little bit more than $14, and they wanted to file an abatement application because
So abate the $14?
to abate the $14. I don't have the authority to do that. By law, the selectmen can authorize a tax collector to waive up to $25.
Is it, do you think it actually happened? Or no,
That it got
it's-
lost in the mail, it
Is that-
could have got
Has it ever
lost in the
happened
mail.
before?
I've never, in 9 years as tax collector, ever had an abatement application for $14. Yeah, exactly.
So this abatement, is it done in public or in non-public?
Public.
Oh, it's public.
Okay.
Yep, there's no personal,
Okay, so we have no names and stuff there.
no. The law says, second and subsequent notice of payments due or notices of tax delinquency shall be sent by first-class mail. Sending a bill as provided in this paragraph shall not change the last date the taxes may be paid without penalty. So they're due when they're due, lost bill or not.
So did I hear you say that they received it 2 days before it was due?
The notice of arrearage, it was already due,
Oh, it's already due.
and they were away on vacation, and when they came back, they called me.
You sure they were away on vacation?
I'm not sure, but that's what they said. That's what they put in their application.
Okay.
The
Any
law
other-
also says interest at 12% per annum shall be charged upon all taxes not paid on or before December 1st. Our tax rate was set late, so it was after that. Interest shall not be charged until 30 days after the bills are mailed. Interest due in an amount up to $25 may be waived by the collector with the approval and consent of the Board of Selectmen. In Albany, I have $5.
Okay. The question is now, it was delayed because of DRA?
Yes.
How delayed was it?
I mailed bills January 7th.
And it should have been mailed December 1st?
It should be due December 1st. So they should have been mailed by November 1st.
Was that
But-
just theirs or all of them?
Just theirs. Yeah.
Well, mine
When-
was late.
Yeah. Albany, we were due December 7th.
Town of Eaton's was late, I don't know about yours.
Kathy, you gotta help me. The rate is, the taxes were due December 1st.
It's not always due. Typically, it's due December 1st, but it all
And set
depends.
somewhere back in August or September or no, October, so the person knows it's due.
It's set-
Typically,
probably
the-
set after September.
Yeah, I always say typically because it all depends on the Department of Revenue when they set the
Okay.
rate.
But you're telling me the taxes were due December 1st
Normally.
normally?
Not this year. They were due February 7th, 1 month after I mailed them out.
Oh, okay, well, that explains what I was getting at. So they were due February 7th, and
Mhm. They went away on vacation, I think they said the 11th, or something,
The 11th of
Of
January.
December, of when?
of February.
and so they were due while they were gone.
Before they were gone. Yeah, they're,
Oh,
Okay, so they left 11 February, you said?
request to abate $14.18 penalty interest on bill due 2/8/13 due to non-receipt of the bill prior to 2/11.
So that means they didn't receive the bill when they are home. So when they were on vacation, the bill came. Is that what they are saying?
They said they received the bill. 2 days later, they received the delinquent notice.
How does
And
that
then-
work?
Can I have something there?
I,
so can read it?
Especially over in Hales, I mail the bills out, and over there, I typically will collect 100% of the taxes. So after the bill is due, I wait a few weeks, and then there's probably about 4 property owners that haven't paid at that time, and I'll send out a reminder notice, just in case they've forgotten, or, it's put on their desk and, just lost in the shuffle.
So they're saying they didn't get their bill until, 7th of February, 7th of March. They're saying they get the
I
bill
think
on
they
the
claimed the
6th or
11th.
7th of March or something like that. And 2 days later, they get a delinquent notice?
Mhm.
Let me see that.
Well, let me see if I can read this. It's a handwriting here. Requested
Can I see
date,
that one? You stuck
14,
it down, David.
penalty interest on bill due 8 February. They say if I can read the handwriting, because. So a request to abate $14, is it 18 cents? Penalty and interest on bill due February 8, 2013, due to non-receipt of the bill prior to 11 February. But then he also said, see attached copy of the envelope the bill was enclosed in showing mishandling by the post office. And he also put in a note that a taxes was due and it have been paid, $2,054 that have been paid. We were on vacation. And the bill plus a 30-day due. Notice were same in the mail. Is there something from the post office there?
Let's see, who wrote this on the bottom of this envelope? The post office or you? Or them?
Not me.
So they
It
probably,
said, no,
he did.
misrouted.
probably
The
were on
resident.
vacation, and if you're on vacation, the bill due, and
It's due.
the other, I think, came at one time because they're not there. So abatement. To waive that $40 costs a lot more, huh? You have to make a whole trip to here, to the county.
Yep.
Bring the paperwork here.
Just, I think it deserved an explanation rather than just send it through the mail.
Is there something from the post office here? So that is correct, they did pay their taxes.
Not the interest.
But they did pay the taxes.
Paid the
but
base
it
amount
was,
of the principal.
Okay.
I tend to go along with the post office error. Last time I paid my subscription to the Carroll County Independent, paid it in January. In the middle of April, I got it back, stamped, returned from the American Embassy in Moscow. Still got it hanging on my refrigerator.
Well,
Better tell the CIA
if
about
they
that.
are not there, they are on vacation. It seems that everything was late. The tax rate was set late.
Tax rate was set
And
late.
you sent it this time out in February, and normally it is December.
Mr. Chairman?
And
go
they
ahead.
were not there in the post office. They make an error too, and
I'll make a
they
motion that
put
we
everything. in.
abate the $14, and if someone will second it, I'll tell you why.
Second.
Discussion?
Go ahead.
I just can't believe, I'll give the folks the benefit of the doubt, I can't believe they go through this much hassle for
Yeah,
$14
for
if it wasn't true.
And he stood there, it was March 1st, and I said, if you want an abatement, you have to file that abatement with me today. He said, give me the application. He stood right there and filled it out.
And they did pay their taxes.
The base amount
Yeah.
due, yes.
And you said you didn't had any other, so there were not other incidents, or you never
No.
came forward.
No.
So, okay.
Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay.
Do you,
I assume you voted.
Yeah.
I don't hear you when you vote. Please speak up a little bit, okay? All those,
Can't
okay,
hear, I certainly can't hear.
okay. Then the motion is passed. We'll abate it. We'll let them.
just need a signature, I believe there's a place for a signature on
Okay,
the
so
on the
where, which
application.
one do we?
Probably the last page.
Okay, was it this one here? We have,
Yes, yes, see at the bottom.
okay. And it's all yours.
Thank you. And do you want to give me the authority to waive up to $25?
I thought the law said,
If,
Kathy, that you had the authority.
No.
it
Just
has
like-
to be authorized by the selectmen.
Oh.
You expecting more?
No.
Mr. Chairman, I think we ought to do it because it's certainly costing somebody more than $25 to come down here and go back, just in mileage, never mind time, pay. And I don't think that we should be tying up our day over $25. It's gonna cost 50.
15 or 14.
We ought to give her the authority.
Make a motion.
I make a motion that we give Kathy Vizard, the clerk or tax collector at Hale's location, the authority to abate abate taxes up to $25.
Second. All those, any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
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 Thank you. So voted. Anything else going on in Hale's location?
Been nice and quiet.
No problem in
No.
voting this past,
I didn't have them
Election.
for voting.
I know
Rhoda-
Conway does, but
Rhoda takes care of them.
at the delegation meeting, not this Monday, a week ago, I forgot the gentleman's name.
Mr. McClure.
McClure. He said that, I believe he said, correct me if I'm wrong, that they really need to negotiate with the town of Conway when they vote, because they have volunteers that go over there and help count or record people coming in to vote, and basically they charge too much.
I believe it's $1,035 per election that they pay Conway,
Mhm.
but they're also paying Conway for their services. As a town clerk, you have to certify the elections, and you have to oversee the count.
Yep.
It's the town clerk's responsibility to ensure the accuracy of that count.
Mhm.
So that's just one of the things. The moderator oversees the election, so they're paying for that service.
Okay.
So, I don't know about the amount, 1,035, but I would probably say if they came to Albany, I would probably put
Do
the same
thing.
amount on it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
They
for
had
the
a-
professional services.
Yeah.
But
They had the choice of going to Conway or Albany, and Conway was closer. Besides, Conway takes care of the
District.
registration,
remember,
vehicle
they
registration.
They redistricted, and Hale's location
That's
was
right.
not within Albany's district, but it is in Conway's.
Well, I guess it depends on why they redistrict, because in my district, Hale's location is not in my district.
Right. And Albany's either. But Conway's it
Albany's
is.
isn't either, but Conway's is. The other question that came up was regarding the schools. Could you do a little research regarding Freiburg Academy again, to see what the possibilities are? I know I've talked with you on the phone regarding an abutting town.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in law, did that come from the Department of Education?
It did
New
not.
Hampshire?
It came from one of the residents who was researching it.
Okay,
But I can definitely make a direct call
yeah.
to Freiburg Academy, and they could point me in the right direction, maybe.
And then also call the Department of Education in Concord to just double check that.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
You beat me to it, Mr. Chairman. I was gonna ask Kathy if she could go through the files and see if there's anything in, are you the town clerk also?
No,
Yeah.
they go to Conway to register their vehicles and
Well, I
to
mean,
vote.
who,
so-
if
She's
there were
town
any,
clerk in Albany.
okay, but we're talking about Hale's location, and
Yeah.
if we want paperwork, somebody's sent a letter to Hale's location, who reads the mail and who looks at it?
Me.
Yeah.
You do.
Mhm.
Could you take a look in the files, please, Kath, and see if there's anything in there that talks about Freiburg Academy and Chatham? As Dave said, it's always bothered me, and the call I made to him, they said, well, it's considered a public school for Chatham, but a private school for Hill's location, and
Right.
there's just something about that that doesn't
Right,
ring true.
right,
It's gotta be one or the other for
Right.
both.
right, right.
So if you could find something, could you take a peek
Mhm.
and see if there's anything in
Mhm.
there that would verify that one
Yeah.
way or another?
Yeah,
And I believe that came from the Department of Education in Concord.
Yes.
I can't remember her name, but she was quite explicit that that was the case. But let's check on it
Yeah,
and see
can't
what
hurt.
the possibilities are.
good.
Okay, for the Board of Commissioners, you're there every Friday?
Every Friday
from
afternoon,
What time to what
2 to
time?
3:30, but it's typically longer than that, but I'm open to the public 2 to 3:30.
Okay, and if they can't make it, then you can go there by appointment? If you have to?
Yeah,
Okay.
Is it every Friday? that
every
you're there?
Friday.
Mhm. The office is all up to date on things, and the appraisal of property is going okay?
It is going
Evaluation?
okay, yep, I've been in contact with them, there's been a few new houses that have been built, so they will be up in probably May, June
Yeah.
to assess those.
So have you had a meeting with the gal from the state?
Not
Is she
lately.
in DRA?
JoJo is
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
appraisal division.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
haven't seen her in
had
a couple of
meeting with her
months.
lately? Okay. She normally comes in here and,
Jojo.
JoJo, Belleville.
yeah.
Kathy, how many residents are there in?
I believe last year was 124
Let me
residents.
rephrase that question. How many pieces of property are assessed in
135.
135?
So that 124 is
They're local residents, they actually
that
live
vote,
there.
or that,
I'm not sure vote.
or they can't. They may not be able to vote.
We still use over there the sheet that says if they've done anything new, and
Who has the voting list? Conway?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
They're still voting in Conway, huh?
They are voting
Yeah.
in Conway,
Oh, okay.
yes. Yeah, but every year they have to fill out the form, whether if they've done anything, it kind of flags the assessors. And on that, they also have to state if they reside there. So based upon that is what I report to the Office of Energy and Planning.
So you have 124 local residents that vote.
According to last year. I'm not sure if they all vote, because they don't have to be registered to vote.
What determines them to be a local resident then?
If they reside there,
Full-time.
full-time.
Okay.
There's many people who, that's their second home.
Do you have any idea how many more lots are available to sell? I know some people have a double lot for protection. They could always sell it, I'm assuming, but
Right.
are there any other lots that are up for sale,
I would say it's 10 and under.
under
There's
10?
not that many.
How many houses or properties in Hale's location are up for sale? I see some in the paper every once in a
Yeah.
while, 2 or 3 at least.
There's been a lot of phone calls. Last year, there wasn't many sales at all.
But there were a lot for sale, but they
Yes.
didn't sell.
Yeah,
Okay. And their tax rate is somewhere around 350?
they went up because of the education line item.
All right,
So they were 450
450
per thousand.
per thousand.
Mhm.
Okay, all the roads were done,
All the roads
no
were
complaints?
paved. No complaints.
Okay,
Mm-mm. Yep.
okay. Anybody else got any further questions?
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, Howie?
Good morning, Commissioners.
You're that investigation.
Howie, I missed the
He can
breakfast this
do it by
morning.
phone.
It was a nice breakfast.
I had to shovel out, but I made the previous one, and the next one I will attend.
There'll be another one every month.
Oh, okay, good.
So, well, I have a few
Good
things to
morning.
bring you up to date on. Good morning,
Okay.
Commissioners.
Howie, thank you very much for breakfast.
Well, I wish I could say I had anything to do with it, although I did bring up your suggestion about a toaster, and Rob will be
A
compliant.
toaster?
A toaster. Well, some people would like to, well, and, the point, this
Is
is...
he the only one that's complaining about?
Over my 40 years, I've heard the toaster thing about 1,000 times, because if toast isn't cooked in front of you, it's just not right. There is just no way to bring toast out on a steam
Well,
table.
never mind whether it's cooked in front of you. First of all, it was 1/8 of an inch thick. It was about 3 inches long. If you spread the butter and looked the other way, you'd be going up your arm. And it was soggy.
Complaints,
And I just-
complaints.
Lots of these places we go, or I go for breakfast, they'll have the machine right there, and you drop your 2 slices in. I realize these folks can't do it, but with a number of aides and help they have,
Staff.
they could certainly drop it in.
Well, and that's just what we're going to be doing.
Does he
So-
have one, or do we have to buy one?
He has one.
Okay.
Now, but in speaking with the cooks, the reason they're not using it now is that there's been no request or demand. But it's a kind of a chicken and egg type thing. You don't ask for something if you don't know that it's available. So, it won't cost us anything to have
Oh,
it.
well, you won't waste a toast either.
Exactly. So, your point is well taken and appreciated, but it is not the first time I've seen that.
Oh, you're just giving in to him
Oh, no,
now.
I've bought commercial toasters where they can do so many pieces per hour, but if that lag time between kitchen and table, it seems like an eternity, so.
So Commissioner Babson, you were complaining about a free breakfast?
He was offering a constructive.
I was offering a constructive criticism.
Good
Commissioner,
point,
yes.
Commissioner Kenney.
Well, I'm actually hopeful. One of the things that I love about the buffet breakfast, it gives us a chance to try different things that some people might try that they might not otherwise. So it's a good opportunity. The power is actually already in the floor there, so there's no changes that have to be made. It's something that I didn't see, and I'm looking at it. Well, what else could we might be offering or doing that wouldn't be work that might add value? And it could be even being sure there's a fruit component that isn't always part of things. So we're all contributing to how we can improve it.
Don't cut out the fruit. I like the fruit. He probably doesn't have it.
Are you sure
but
the fruit stays
I
there?
have the fruit, yeah.
Oh, it was good. It just, the toast, I would think we could do something about it, not just for me, but for the residents.
For all who might like
All who
it.
want to have toast.
We do
Any
have a-
idea how many residents come out and eat that particular breakfast?
That, almost a half.
Half
You know,
of the
almost half,
residents?
which is wonderful, you know, mostly from the second floor, but not exclusively.
Mhm.
But the benefit won't be measured by how many people, it's by how much those who come benefit by it, enjoy it, and they really do enjoy it. They enjoy the variety, they enjoy seeing different people, they enjoy seeing commissioners, they enjoy seeing staff. I think I missed her, but I think the county attorney was
Mhm.
over. Different people coming in is a nice thing. It just breaks up, I don't want to say the monotony, but it adds to the variety
Mhm.
of living in Mountain View.
Could I make another suggestion, Hal?
Sure.
I had to arrive late today because I had to shovel the
Nobody else
animals
did,
out.
but
But
go ahead.
Chef it out.
maybe when they seat the residents, if they could leave one seat open at a table. Many times I came, yesterday there was only one seat for me to sit at. And,
Oh, you go there for free
Yesterday?
breakfast on?
no,
Yesterday?
today, there was only
Oh,
one
today,
seat where there
okay.
was one seat left open at a table because,
Well, that's
Yeah.
good.
well,
That
it
means
is,
a lot of
except what
people
am I
coming.
supposed to do? Stand in the middle of the table and eat my breakfast?
Well, as Howie said a couple of weeks ago, that you go in, you get a cup of coffee, and you go around and talk with different
I
people.
did
at
that
the
too, and then I got hungry.
table. Okay.
There's just, if there were one or two seats left available at the table where you could sit down with somebody that you could talk
Well,
to.
let me, you know.
You can just pull a chair and bring it to the
We'll
table.
find a way, because we want it to be informal enough so that we can adapt, you know, to
Right.
the circumstances.
If you
So-
get there on time, there's plenty of seats. I had no problem getting a seat. And I enjoyed talking to the three gentlemen that were there. One of them could carry on a really good conversation.
Yes.
The other two, one of them I couldn't hear, and you couldn't hear after either, but, no.
Even those who can't communicate well benefit by other people being there. So never underestimate the value of your visit. You know, it was certainly great with the person you talked to, but I bet it was equally good for the other two gentlemen too.
Mhm.
Seeing that there was somebody else there who didn't have to be there, who wanted to be there, and it was,
Mhm.
and they were enjoying themselves as well.
Yep. I was surprised the gentleman I talked to knew who I was before I sat down. I didn't know who he was, but he was from Freedom, and Eaton's close to Freedom. We had a good conversation about people that we knew mutually. so.
Wow.
I get a question, Howie, because I'm kind of new at this, but I sat down at a table with three people, poor souls. You couldn't communicate with them. What do you do? Just sit there?
You talk to them. No, this
I mean,
is my
they-
bias. We're all different, but it's still you're still able to communicate. You never want to assume that they can't, because they can't express, that they can't understand.
Oh, okay.
Or what level. So that there should always be this. Oftentimes, the most significant barrier in that setting ends up being hearing. So oftentimes they can know what's going on, but with all the background noise, it can be a real challenge with hearing aids and all. So while it's a great social setting for some, it can be a difficult time. So speaking up is, you always start with the obvious. Maybe it's hearing. So speaking up, looking at somebody directly, speaking to them, getting their attention helps.
But doesn't that just contribute to the
Frustration.
to the din in the background and
It
make it
does.
hard for other people to hear?
It does, and therein is the balancing act. And it can be a challenge. But just your presence, not necessarily what you say or what you do, just being there, and them being someplace different than where they usually are, is still a benefit. So it's, everybody will benefit in different ways.
Okay.
But your group was, they were paying attention, they were active and engaged, so to the level that they could.
Well, I got a lot to learn then, because I thought only one of them was. While the other poor gentleman couldn't speak loud enough for me to hear him, so that made it difficult. And the third person, I didn't contribute at all, so.
It's a challenge.
I will say, Howie, that the staff
I
is
love them.
tremendous. They're around asking if they've what they want for, they give them a menu and they check it off, they actually write it down. Several people came to my table, not knowing somebody else had already been there. It's just fantastic, the staff that's there that are very helpful to the residents.
And it's all the
Great.
staff. I mean, it's great to see the maintenance guys.
Yep.
Put on the hat, put on the gloves, and get out there, and and nobody makes them do it. It's not a requirement, they don't get assigned. It's strictly a volunteer effort. So, but they love doing it. So it's all the staff working together for the betterment of the residents. And it's a great feeling. You walk in the door, you smell the food, you hear the conversation, you see everybody out there. It's just a wonderful way to start the day.
Yeah, I agree. The staff is really doing a great job, even if you go to the cafe and order food.
I think
Yeah, they do really
They're great
good.
attitude.
Yes. I have a question about the iPads. Did you already have them?
I wrote that down on my list. They were delivered, but I have not seen them in use. So,
Oh, okay,
because-
that's what my
because we
question
agreed to
was.
bring them back here to give an
Yeah.
explanation of how they were being used.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Oh, the iPads.
That was my
The-
question, how it worked out.
Therapy got
but-
2 iPads. Now, our
Yes.
therapy director, Pam, has been out for the last 3 or 4 weeks, so it could well be, I haven't seen them being used because they're waiting for her.
Okay.
She'll be back in, this will be her second day back in. She's actually a Genesis employee, but we work collaboratively with her. She'll be in this afternoon and start getting back to a regular schedule next week. So she's had surgery herself.
Okay.
So, but we will,
So
want to be
it's
sure that we
already-
come back with a
okay.
presentation for you.
It's already arrived,
Okay.
but it's nothing usual.
I assume, because I know that, I saw the slip that they were ordered, and I know it was only supposed to be a 2-day.
I know they're here
Okay.
because they signed the bill.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I saw the
well,
bill.
and I saw the bill, because
Yeah.
I approved the bill, so I assumed that that it wasn't just an order, so that they're in hand.
Okay, go ahead with your report, if you want to.
Today, we have 101 residents. We had 1 resident pass away 2 nights ago. We have 2 admissions pending. Presently, we have 6 skilled, and those 2 admissions that are pending will also be skilled, which will bring our skilled up to 8, which is probably a high in the last 6 months. So we're trending well. Still pursuing outside groups. To date, we have interest shown by 2 different groups, a spinning group and also by a chess club. Notice has gone out through Facebook. So in a chess club and spinning groups would be wonderfully compatible. I mean, it wouldn't be intrusive, allowed, or it'd be of interest to the group. The wood pellet tour is this Friday, the 22nd, starting at 9:15 to noon. And have a storm update for you from yesterday. It is wonderful, and you have good reason to be proud of all our staff. We had 100% attendance in all the health services yesterday and today.
Oh.
And that has not always been the case during weather events, but yesterday, 100%, and it's remarkable. It was, it was not an easy storm for some. The driving was tough. There was any number of excuses people could have had, but they all made it in. In fact, all made it in today, too. 2 days in a row for health services.
Good.
But that's all I have.
Good to know.
Have of a general nature for you.
Yeah, thank you. I see you're going into non-public today?
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody else got any questions? Anybody from the public got questions? If not,
Looks like Damon's getting ready to raise his hand and get it halfway
We
up
were going to
anyway.
talk about having a date on the public hearing on the admissions policy,
no, we haven't yet set that up
We
yet.
don't set a date.
but there was talk about doing that. I was just wondering if we
That's
were
right.
all-
Well, Howie, it was left that Howie was gonna get together with his employees and find out what their
Import day.
feelings were, and then we were gonna move forward with it from there.
Yep.
Have you done that yet, Howie?
Yeah, that notice has gone out. We'll probably follow that distribution with a brief meeting. It's actually the same. It actually gone out January 22nd and went out again this week, with editorial revisions. But no major changes, but probably the safest thing would be to follow it with a meeting.
Yep. Okay, very good, thank you, Howie.
So how are you going for personnel?
Non-public.
Non-public, for what is it?
When
Is it personnel?
For personnel?
It is.
Yeah,
for
okay,
personnel.
okay. And are you coming with him, or are you going separate?
No, I'm coming in with Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's the motion, huh?
Got anything else to bring up this morning?
Nope.
Anybody from public input this morning? Yes, Damon?
Can you remind me if we passed the social media policy or not? That was passed, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you refresh me on the Freiburg Academy issue with Hale's location, what that's all about? And what exactly
It's
you're...
regard to schools.
Can I do that, David?
Go ahead.
It's one of my favorite subjects. because
Go ahead.
it's one of the most unfair
It's in my
things I've heard.
district, but go ahead.
We-
Go ahead.
The people in Hale's location that have children, are concerned about their cost going to school in the SAU district in Conway, and I
SAU.
believe it's $23,000 for, or is it 30 now?
Somewhere between $23,000 and $30,000.
$30,000 for each high school student. And over the years, they've looked around, Damon, to try to come up with an alternative, and one of the...
Is that paid for by the taxpayer or person in the parent?
No, it's paid for out of the general fund of Hale's location,
Out of the taxpayers of Hale's
But-
location, yeah.
but not individually, out of their
No.
general fund.
Okay.
And so they investigated going to Freiburg Academy, and because Chatham goes to Freiburg Academy at a substantially lower rate. And when they contacted the Department of Education in the state of New Hampshire, we got a letter back, we being the commissioners before me, but one day while I was sitting here, stating that in Chatham, they consider it a public school, and from Conway, it's considered a private school. So the question is, why isn't it one or the other from both? Which would allow, the problem with the Hale's location students going to Freiburg, and I think it's a minor one, considering the cost, is getting them back and forth. They would have to pay their own transportation. And that's where it comes from, and we're still trying to find out where the ruling came that it's public for one and private for the other.
And the biggest reason for the expense, and it's for elementary school as well as high school, they're different figures, but high school happens to be the biggest. But it's mainly because Hale's location doesn't pay any capital improvements in the Conway School District. So that's why they're charged more.
Well, that's
One of the reasons why.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. But they have help me out with this, Dave, something about nobody can go to school in the Conway district or that isn't in the SAU without paying more than the lowest,
The going rate.
the highest paying rate of a community. I'm not sure what that has to do with it, but I'm sure the capital expenses are worked in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And so you're asking Kathy to figure out more information by contacting the state?
To see if she has a letter that we can go back and we'll do it. I think what we ought to do is get one of the representatives from, one of the folks that represents Hale's location and go to legislative research and have them look it up have the girls there look it up and come back with a report.
And so just to be clear, so for Hale's location, Freiburg Academy is a private school, but for Chatham, it's a public school?
Yes.
Okay.
And the state can't fund money towards private school, so they won't give the townspeople of Hale any money towards their education, as I understand it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other public input? I'll work on an agenda for next week's meeting with department heads. I'm not sure how many department heads will be coming from the nursing home.
I hope all of them.
I don't know that all were invited. I'd have to take a look at what Janice was expecting. I'm not sure that she was, I think she was thinking in terms of unit department heads, I mean, House of Corrections, but I need to confirm that.
Do you know, Debbie?
That is correct. Facility heads.
So it's roughly 8 or 9 people, or less than that?
I would say
Less.
probably less than that.
Let's go with that and find out what happens, and if we have to expand it, we will.
Okay. All right, seeing no further public input, then we will go into non-public for personnel.
Yep.
I hear a motion.
I make a motion to go into non-public for nursing home personnel.
Seconded,
Roll call.
Commissioner Babson,
yes.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Yes.
Commissioner Kenney, yes. I
And
have
so
10:39.
Who's keeping the minutes for the non-public?
We have nobody now. I will record it, and like
Okay.
you said, we need to look for somebody, secretary. I don't know if they already posted. I asked to post it on the website.
Okay. We're back in regular
Oh,
session.
oh, gee, I cleaned
You
up
happen to be
everything. I
out
thought
in
we're
the
done.
hall, and you got anything to add to what we've heard this morning from the county attorney regarding the courthouse?
Well, first of all, I wasn't present, so I don't know exactly what was talked about this morning. But I will say that I have spoken with Attorney Gordon about putting Wi-Fi over at the courthouse. And first and foremost, I would need to talk with the state about what they have for equipment as to whether we can piggyback in with them or not.
How about first, John, if they even want you over there? I mean,
Well,
that seemed to be the thrust of her conversation.
Apparently, they have done this in other courthouses around the state. I have not been a part of it, so I can't tell you yes or no that they'll allow it, but I would want to talk to their IT people before we even move forward with anything about what requirements they would have. I gave Robin a bunch of information, all with caveats about it all depends on what they tell me. A free Wi-Fi that would be usable by the county attorney's office is
In general
relatively
public over there too?
I would not use it, let it for the general public.
Okay.
We would put a router in with some encryption and
It's
only,
going to be secure router, what you're putting in?
it would be.
Okay.
And then any data that comes back to this network, I have encryption in place here on this firewall, so any data that goes across Wi-Fi, even if somebody were to grab it out of the air, which theoretically they can, it's all encrypted with GSA-rated encryption. They can't do anything with that information anyway. But as far as installing the Wi-Fi over there, I need to talk to the state. I have no idea what they have, what the ability is, so any information I gave Attorney Gordon is all preliminary and all with caveats as to what they would allow.
I think the first step, we need to see if we get approval first.
Absolutely, I agree. And if the commissioners are agreeable, I can begin that process and do some research.
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile checking into to see if it's, what the possibilities are, what it's gonna cost, and so forth.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
We talked last week about a safe.
Oh, yeah.
I think we need to come in with some estimates as to what it would cost, and do some research as to what size safe we need and what it would cost to do it.
Safe or a file cabinet?
Well,
Yeah, we need to
that's up for
see.
discussion, I guess, whatever.
I don't think we need a safe, and I'm sure locking guns or money in it, but
Okay.
I think
I
that
think
we ought to
we-
have, the law says that we ought to have, should have a county file that we can all access, and
The law said the
Mhm.
safe.
I think if you read your book, Commissioner, it says, might say a safe, but I think it says a file.
No,
Says a
safe.
safe?
Safe, it's a.
Okay.
Okay, let's see
Yeah,
if we can come up
and,
with,
okay,
see if we can come up with some information on purchasing one, what it's gonna cost, and make a decision next week,
yep.
okay?
And the second thing I want to ask, are we going to put the IT contract back out to bid.
No,
So we
that's been
can
signed.
So we can have the companies, everyone is getting a fair chance in Carroll County to come in, see the network first, and put in their estimate.
The companies came in. We listened to them. We
Yeah, but
signed
they
a contract.
never saw the network. So
Yeah, but-
I think we have the opportunity again to correct it, to put it out to bid.
I don't think we
and
can
that
because
they
we
can
signed a
see
contract,
that
and
they-
this gentleman here will be back after us for not living up to the contract.
No, because when you make a motion, you have also proof of delegation, and I think the commissioners can put it still out to bid again.
Well, anything else to be brought up this morning? If
Oh,
not-
but I agree with you, David. I think we're just looking for trouble if we go out for bid on the IT contract. Mr. Rich has done a good job, and we have I believe, a 3-year contract with him, or 2-year?
I'd have to look at the
I
contract.
think we can get it much cheaper. We have also other companies, they don't make any profit out of any parts, they just submit the original receipts, and
I think
You
that's,
know, Commissioner Kenney, I've listened for 2 years for you to make these accusations.
I don't make
and
any
you-
accusations.
And you haven't come in here with one iota of proof that I
Yeah.
can recall.
I have my proof, and I will bring it all in, so
Okay,
that you can
fine.
see.
Well, why don't we do that?
Yeah,
And then we can discuss it next week.
I will
Okay.
bring it all in.
do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. All those in support of the motion, say aye. Aye,
All right.
so voted.